If this is you, then you were in the right place, because today we're going to be taking a look at a popular pressure washer off of Amazon. We all know when you search electric pressure washer on Amazon, 1,000 of them come up. They all look different. They're colored different. They all promise crazy good specifications, which they never meet. So let's go ahead and look at this one. This was sent by a company to me. Obviously, no money changed hands. They sent me the product. I just wanted to share it with you guys because a lot of people ask, like, man, how about these Amazon electric pressure washers? And my thought on it is, if you're going to go entry level, right here, the Karcher K1700 Cube, I used this thing like crazy for a solid year. And man, I feel like I proved that this will do the job, and it'll do it on a budget, and it does an amazing job. This one offers 1,700 PSI at 1.2 gallons. Now, when I put it on my shelf and I set the rig up, we had it at about 1,000 PSI, and that's where we want it for car detailing. So my favorite entry level, right here, Karcher, links will be down below so you can educate yourself on that. My favorite top of the line model, Kranzle. You know, some people want to hate on these and say, man, they're not worth it. Man, I'm telling you, this is the nicest machine that I've ever come across in my life or seen used. It's quiet, it puts out great amount of water, it's just insane build quality. This looks like something like if you were to have a pressure washer on the space station, it would look like this. I guarantee it. It wouldn't have all the plastic crazy stuff that all these other ones have. It looks good, it's right to the point, highly serviceable, insane. I'll leave links down below so you can educate yourself on this one too. This system is, man, it's the bomb. That's how I'm gonna just leave that. Let's take a look at this Amazon popular pressure washer from top to bottom. So what do you get when you spend $145 for an Amazon pressure washer? Now, man, it's really light. Now, light can be good, but what it tells me right off the bat is it's going to be kind of cheap build quality. Internals are going to be kind of marginal at best. But, you know, I can't really pick on it until we fire it up and try it. But let's start at the top. All right, right off the bat, let's talk about where the water comes in. It has an entry on the back for a typical hose connection. Seems like reasonable quality. And the electrical power cord, 35 feet. So you're going to be able to get a good reach all across the property with this. It does have a pretty marginal ground fault interrupt protector on there. Man, I don't know if I would bet my life on this, but you know what? I use GFIs in the wall wherever I'm using power equipment around water. So I don't depend on this anyway, but it does have one. It has a really long cord. All right, so let's flip it around. Now we got the water coming out of the front. This particular unit does have a removable hose on here, so let's go ahead and unscrew this all the way out. So theoretically, you could put a nipple on there like this, and you could run your own hose, whatever quality you want. That's what I did on the Karcher. This Karcher came with a junk hose. I don't even have it anymore. I'll show you guys. I threw it in the trash immediately, and I put it on the shelf and used this really top-end hose. So you could theoretically replace this hose, but let's go ahead and put it together. And let's take a look at this hose quality. Now this is what always bugs me about pressure washers that, you know, just come like all in one package. Look at that hose. Every time you get these out, you're just fighting with this, trying to get this unswiveled. Man, and even when you're using it, it just feels lanky. And look at that, I barely touched it and it kinked 100%. And when you unkink it, and it stays kinked. So hose quality on this is going to be pretty bad. So just keep that in mind right away. If I was to get this, the first thing I would do would be to replace the hose. Now let's look at the spray gun. Plastic quality. It feels kind of, you know, on the cheap side, guys. That's the bottom line on this. You know, it's got some flex in the lance here. It does have this thing on the end where you can go ahead and put all your tips on there, all the different ranging tips. It comes with all of them. But man, do I really want to be that guy out there? Like it's not like I need to give me the 10 degree, give me the 20. I mean, you just don't need rapid access to tips like this. And I don't want them on the end of my lance either. So, you know, this kind of was I feel like this was a missed thought or just a shot that didn't hit, you know what I mean? It does come with a quick disconnect on the end where you can put these tips or you can put the foam cannon. Man, but I am definitely not a fan of having a foam cannon hanging on the end of a 3-foot lance like this, swinging around in the wind. It feels like, look at that thing. It's just not gonna last long term, but you know what? It'll get the job done. And that's the bottom line with this system here. Now, until we fire it up, we're not gonna get to see the performance of this, but overall, right off the bat, I'm gonna say build quality is pretty low. All right, so let's go into the machine a little bit more. It's got an on and off knob here. It has this soap dispenser now. I've never used one of these in all the years that I've been doing this, but my gut tells me you put soap in here, it's gonna kind of pre-mix it and shoot it on the vehicle. This is not a foam cannon. And I don't really see a good use for this, although for those of you that may find a use for it, there it is. All right, so there's not much else to say about it. I mean, it does have a cool handle on it, and it's got some wheels, so you can wheel it around. All in all, that's about all there is for looks and general layout of the machine. I say we plug it in, get the water going, and let's see what it'll do outside on the truck. Man, that poor truck. All right, so let's fire this up and get it going. Yeah. All right, so now we got the water hooked up and the power hooked up. Let's see what it'll do. Decent fan. And I can tell you that's about, I don't know, 800 PSI maybe. And the amount of water coming out is like really small, so it's definitely not 1.8 gallons, but it does put a good fan out. And the unit's really quiet. That's kind of cool. So overall, so far it's running good. I know everybody wants to see the foam cannon. Let's put that on and see what happens. And this is an Amazon $10 foam cannon. I did a review on this, you can check that out, but you know, usually I use a much better foam cannon, but I figured to keep it real, Amazon pressure washer, Amazon foam cannon. Decent foam. Did a good job with the foam. Now we get to see the amount of water coming out of this. How quick does it rinse? Now this is where the cheaper pressure washers usually show their colors. Just don't get a lot of water output. So if I had to guess, water output somewhere around a gallon. I'm not going to go through the effort to put a pressure gauge on the end of this or do a water reading. I'm just telling you from my personal experience with a 2+ gallon pressure washer per minute, and I had a 1.2 gallon per minute, and I can tell you right now, this is probably 800 PSI. And I would have to say about 1 gallon per minute tops. But overall, quiet machine, seems to run good. It does turn on and off with the trigger pull, which is kind of cool, but overall, it works. It's a little less on the spec than what they claim, but it does work. I just can't get over this thing. I mean, all right, let's get back in the shop and let me tell you my thoughts on this. All right, so what are my thoughts with this machine? Let's start with the water intake. Now, it did require me using a pair of channel locks to really secure this down. Water was kind of leaking out, but I gave it a quarter turn, passed finger tight, and man, the water stopped leaking. That was cool. Then we get to the power cord. Now, with this power cord, I kind of felt like, I'm not sure about these electronics in here, but I would highly recommend using a GFI so you can protect yourself from getting shocked. Anytime you have water around electric, you got to really be careful. But the cord was long, and that gave us plenty of opportunity to drag this thing around as needed. Now, with the machine itself, the build quality was decent in terms of, I didn't feel like it was rinky-dink and giving me any trouble out there. The plastic is tough, so I don't anticipate that breaking anytime soon. Now let's get to the front, and this is the stuff that I feel like absolutely needs to be changed. And this is to be expected at this price point, because some of the stuff I'm about ready to recommend is where the price starts going up. So now this hose quality, man, right off the bat, I tell you, it kinks easy. It's very difficult to work with. When it comes time to unwind it, you end up with a mess where you got to physically unwind it because there's no swivel on it. So right there, I have to say that the hose quality is not good at all. It's rigid. It's kind of hard to work with. Is just the bottom line with it. Now, then you get down to the spray wand. Now the spray wand is plastic build. Just like I thought, it worked really well, no leaks. It did feel kind of on the weak side, and it would probably last about as long as the pressure washer. I don't anticipate this lasting for years and years and years. It's a light gauge build quality. So again, sprayer's the same thing. Then we get out to the tips. I see no reason for this thing on the actual lance. I don't need to be swapping tips that quickly, but it was an effort. And good brass swivel on the, a good brass disconnect on the end so you can change the tips, put a foam cannon on it. That's kind of cool. Now here's my recommendations for those of you that want to get an entry-level machine. Now, an entry-level machine seems to always have bad build quality on the hose and sprayer and wand and all that stuff. This is where this comes in, and I've preached this over and over again on the channel. I used a Karcher for a long time. It did an unbelievable job from the day I turned it on to the day I disconnected it and replaced it with the almighty Kranzle. But here's where you can really up the user experience on these models. Now, starting with the MTM hose, look at that. Man, it's great quality. No kinking, no nothing, man. It works unbelievable. And the sprayer, Obsessed Garage, man, the OG spec sprayer. This thing is unbelievable. I've did a long review on this. You guys check this out and educate yourself on this too. Man, it swivels unbelievable. There's never any manual unwinding. Anything you do, it's just gonna right itself, and man, you're ready to go. Build quality on this, really good internals. It's heavy. It's about the same. It's not like, when I say heavy, I don't mean trouble to use. It just feels solid. It's about the same as this machine. And overall, this will be my recommendation. You replace the hose, starting with the stainless steel nipple, out to the MTM hose, and you put a nice spray wand on it, and man, you're gonna get a good user experience out of this machine. For those of you that can't have the wall unit, maybe all you have room for is a little electric machine. This one does have wheels. You can easily wind it around and drag it around the car as needed. The hose was a little short too. I recommend a longer, nice quality hose with a good sprayer, and you're gonna get a decent user experience. It actually performed a little better than I thought. Now, here's the downsides too. We did get decent spray fan out of it. It did a good about 800 PSI. Now that's just a guess. I didn't put a gauge on it. I didn't want to do a long drawn out production like I normally do. I just wanted to bring it in and show you guys, but I feel like it fell about 800 PSI. But the trouble was we just didn't get the water gallons per minute. I say that this is about 1 gallon per minute, just based on the fact that I've used a 1.2 and a 2.1 gallon, and I know what that looks like, and that wasn't it. This is probably about a gallon, and that just comes into, it just takes a little effort, more effort to get the soap and stuff off the car. It's just a little less water moving. But overall, the machine was really quiet too. I was kind of surprised, and it has the on and off as you pull the trigger, which is nice. It's just not out there just running like crazy. Overall, this machine with a good hose on the front, and you got yourself a reasonable kit. Now, I normally don't bring entry-level pressure washers in for reviews, but this company sent it to me. It's been sitting on the side, and I kind of wanted to share it with you guys. What do you get when you hit the pressure washer on Amazon and you see all these pop up? This is what it looks like. Now, where does it fall? At about $145. It's a little bit more expensive than the Karcher, and I'll tell you what, those of you that have been following the channel, you know that I've put this thing to the test. I've used it long, and I've used it hard, and put it away wet, man, and I'll tell you what, it worked good from the time I plugged it in until the time I disconnected it and replaced it with the almighty Kranzle. Now, you're never going to need another unit if you buy this one. This one, again, is non-serviceable. You'll get a year or two out of it. And I suspect that this will probably be the same, you know, maybe 1 year of service out of it. So this will definitely fit for some people. And if you're interested, I'll have a link to this one down there too. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you want to see this type of content where I bring in some different equipment just to show you? If you're interested in that, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, if you haven't subscribed, that subscribe button's right there, and you can join the team. You're gonna wanna see some of the stuff I got coming up. I'm looking in the back of the garage right now, and I got some really good stuff on the horizon that you don't wanna miss. All right, so that's pretty much all I have to say. Overall, it performed a little better than I thought, but it is that entry-level pressure washer, and you know, man, I gotta tell you, the one that I tried and trued and tested for a year is the one I recommend, but this one will do a decent job for you too. Hopefully it was helpful, and that's all I got to say about it, and we'll see you on the next one. Yeah!